What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about my experience skydiving. Maybe you're looking up information right now about your first skydive. Maybe you have a date on the calendar ready to go. I wanted to talk about the process was like for me, the lessons I learned, what you guys can learn along the way, and share a little bit of footage as well. So I went skydiving about 2 years ago in a place called Spaceland in Texas, and it was a great experience. I wasn't nervous at all, really, like the whole month leading up to it. It was really about the day before that I realized, man, I'm literally about to jump out of a plane. This is crazy. And that night, I actually slept like maybe 1 or 2 hours, so probably get ready for not a lot of sleep the night before. But I had to get ready with me and a couple other people, and we drove about an hour down to where the skydiving place was, and we had to fill out some paperwork and kind of some waivers, stuff like that. And then we had to take a training class. So we had to learn the whole process of going skydiving and what the safety protocols are, stuff like that. There's a certain type of suit that you wear that has a certain harness, and you meet your instructor, the person that's going to be behind you. So that's the nice thing about going skydiving for your first time, is that you're always going to have somebody attached to the back of you. So that's a big deal. It's going to relieve a lot of pressure rather than you just doing it yourself. So when you have somebody connected to you, that really just takes away some of that stress. They know what's going on, they know what they're doing, and so they'll always be there to help you. So once you have the harness set up and everything, you get loaded onto the plane, and this is where your heart starts to beat a little bit. And you're walking up to the plane, you're realizing you're actually going to jump out of the plane, and it's pretty crazy at that point. Your heart's definitely beating a little bit. You're looking at everyone, you're trying to play it cool, but inside you're dying. Not really, but you're a little nervous. You're definitely a little nervous. And at this point, I would recommend you should pay for photos and video. I know some people think it's pretty expensive, and it is. Mine was about $150 for photo and video, but it was well worth it because I can always look back and see the photos and see the videos and just smile and laugh and know that I actually did it and just see the actual reactions that I had at that moment. So I would recommend photos and videos as a must for your first time. So once you're getting onto the plane, if you do pay for somebody, they're kind of recording everything going on. And what happens also too is they give you these watches that shows you the elevation. So it's kind of cool as you're going up in the plane, you can see, 3,000 feet, 5,000 feet. Typically the planes for skydiving people will jump out at about 14,000 feet. So I remember just looking at my watch, it's like 6,000 feet, 7,000 feet, 8,000 feet. And, I was trying to, hold my cool, everything was good. But really, the moment where I was most nervous was when I saw my watch said 14,000 feet. I was like, oh man, we're here. Like the moment's here. And so there was some people that went out first. I remember when they opened the door, all that air was, coming through, and I was a little nervous at that point. I was like, man, we're high up here and we're about to do this. And so the first people jump out, and I was the first of my crew to go. So you take those first steps, you can feel the wind and your heart's beating and everything. And then you look out and you're stepping out and you can see the ground 14,000 feet down. You can see the curvature of the atmosphere, and your breaths are very heavy. You can feel your heart beating, and it's almost like you're the only one that can hear your voice, and everything is X'd out. And I remember that the instructor just kind of repeating the instructions and everything to me. And when you're looking out at that open atmosphere, it's really a lesson to be learned. And I think that lesson is that we all have to face our fears in life. It's not an easy thing to do, but we must face our fears in life if we want the most that life has to give. And skydiving is just a little tip of the iceberg for what I'm really talking about in retrospect of life. And so when I looked out and I saw that atmosphere and I saw just all the mass of the earth and everything, it really blew my mind. And I realized at that moment, okay, I'm going to jump out of this plane and I don't have any fear. I'm going to do this. And that was kind of my process. Was like I really tried to motivate myself in that moment. I tried to encourage myself that everything's going to be okay, that I'm going to face my fears. I looked out into the atmosphere and I said, you know what? Here we go. And I just remember jumping off, and I just felt like a bird. I just felt like a bird in the air. And the first thing that happens when you jump off is that you will free fall for about 60 seconds. So 60 seconds of free fall, and you can feel this just adrenaline that you've never felt before in your life. I mean, you're literally falling like 100 miles an hour, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever felt. You're just falling, and you feel yourself floating through the air. And at this time, the photographer was trying to get me to move around and do some movements for the photos and videos. I didn't even realize it. I was so focused on the moment that I kind of didn't even do anything. I was just, looking at the camera, half-heartedly. But that was a crazy moment, that free fall. It really was. And so pretty much you free fall for 60 seconds or so, and then there's a little part that you pull off to pull your parachute. Well, I reached back to pull mine and I couldn't get it, and I was scared. I was like, man, my heart kind of dropped a little bit. Thankfully the instructor was there and they pulled it for me. But that's kind of cool, is that the instructor will allow you to kind of take action on your own and to feel like you're doing it by yourself, but they're there to help you just in case. And that free fall, once you have the parachute going and you're just kind of sailing like that, you realize, man, I can face my fears. I can face my fears. That wasn't that bad. That really wasn't that bad. And that was the main lesson I learned, was that facing my fears wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I was relieved once I did it. And I was proud of myself. I was proud of the fact that I faced my fears, that I stood up to that dark thing that I've always wanted to do my whole life, which always kind of pushed it off. And I finally did it. And I'm like, man, I feel good. I got confidence. I grew my confidence. And so you're kind of coasting down, and then you land, and you have a little interview with the photographer, and you talk about your experience. And it was just such a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing to go skydiving. I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I shouldn't care so much about what other people think, because they have a different vantage point. And when I face my fears, it gives me strength. Even if I fail, it gives me strength, because I know that it's not as bad as I think it is. And I wanted to share this little video to encourage you, if you're planning to skydive, that you can do it, that it will be a little frightening at first, but you can totally do it. Face your fears. You're going to be proud of yourself once you're done. I'm proud of myself for doing it. I can always look back now. If someone's talking about skydiving and say, oh, I've been skydiving. It's kind of the cool thing to say you've been skydiving. And I just want to share that. Hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.